The Crown Prince has been acting strange lately. He keeps clenching his fists and glaring at me like he's barely holding himself back. For a while, I thought he was trying to play out some overbearing prince romance trope. Turns out, he thinks I'm dying soon. A new genre called dead woman literature has become all the rage in the capital. The most popular and earliest piece was written by someone named Fei Huajiyu. I finally married the crown prince I've loved for years, but he doesn't love me. On our wedding night, he left me alone in the bridal chamber. Later, he grew even colder toward me because of a dancer. Maybe he's always been resentful about my existence. But it's fine, he'll get what he wants soon enough. Because I'm dying. At this point in time, popular storybooks mostly revolve around actresses eloping or tragic deaths between generals and princesses. Honestly, people are getting bored. So when this dead woman literature popped up, it caused an uproar in the literary world. Even the noble ladies in the palace each got themselves a copy. Though scholars and officials publicly condemned it as cheap trash, they were secretly reading it under their covers. The more people read, the more uneasy they felt. Especially the Crown Prince's loyal supporters. This plot hit a little too close to reality. Somehow, a copy of the story even showed up on the Crown Prince's desk. The Emperor arranged my marriage with the Crown Prince. He granted the engagement before I even came of age, but honestly, I never felt there was much love between us. Still, because of my father and older brother, the Crown Prince always acted affectionate in public. But I knew it was just for show. The person he truly loved was Hong Zhao from the Wanqiu Pavilion. Because of her status, he couldn't openly bring her into the palace. Miss, a message just arrived from the palace. They want you to accompany the Crown Prince there tonight. I let out a distracted, "Oh," set down my brush and didn't think much of it. I was too pleased with the masterpiece I'd just finished. It was full of misunderstandings, heartbreak, and melodrama, truly the definition of juicy dogblood drama. I could practically see the silver tails rolling in. No rush for the palace. Take this book to the shop first. Chunyan, who grew up with me and is always obedient, took the manuscript and left right away. I called for other maids to help me pick out an outfit for the palace. But before I even settled on a dress, the door swung open again. Surprised, I turned and said, "Back so soon?" But the words caught in my throat. It wasn't Chunyan who came in. It was the Crown Prince. He was holding that storybook, the one I told Chunyan to deliver. I followed his gaze to see Chunyan shrinking behind him, eyes full of guilt and fear. My vision darkened. I could only hope he thought I asked Chunyan to buy it for personal reading. "You all leave us." The Crown Prince's voice gave away nothing, but the maids at his side were sharp enough. They hurried out and even shut the door behind them. Now it was just me and him, face to face. "To what do I owe the honor of your Highness's visit?" I gripped the table for support and tried to keep my voice calm. I couldn't help it. My legs were shaking. The Crown Prince looked me over with an unreadable expression, then focused on the hand I had on the table. I didn't know the Crown Princess had such literary talent. He tossed the book onto the table. The title jumped out at me. Beauty Escapes by Night. The Crown Prince chases his wife 99 times. And beneath it, the infamous author name, Fei Huajiyu. That tone, it was clear he knew I wrote it. My vision darkened again. I felt like I was about to develop a heart condition I didn't even have. I can explain. I wanted to drop to my knees right then and there. My voice trembled, and I had no idea what to say. The Crown Prince stared at me for a moment longer. His eyes turned red. Then he suddenly turned to look out the window. "How much time is left?" His voice cracked, so soft I almost didn't catch what he said. I thought he was asking how long I'd been writing the story. I did a quick mental calculation and lowballed it. About 3 or 4 months. I started writing it right after we got married. I was full of guilt. Writing fanfiction about your own husband right after the wedding, one that spread like wildfire, was basically asking for death. The Crown Prince took a deep breath, his voice shaky. "What you wrote, is it true?" Of course I wrote it. Every word. Yes, it's true that I wrote it. Why are you acting like that's so hard to believe? The embarrassment outweighed the fear at this point. I didn't dare speak, just nodded. The crown prince lowered his head, looking completely lost. I see. Then he turned and walked out, leaving me standing there, utterly confused. Wait, what do you mean you see? Are you going to kill me? Forgive me? At least say something. Leaving me hanging like this is torture. I was on edge for a long time, but eventually decided to just pretend nothing had happened. As night fell, I got everything ready, and the moment I opened the door, I saw the crown prince standing outside. No idea how long he'd been there, but the young eunuch beside him was quietly rubbing his legs. Your Highness, were you waiting just for me? I didn't see him often, and when I did, we barely exchanged a few words. I genuinely didn't know how to address myself in front of him. He looked at me with a complicated expression. You don't need to be so formal around me. I was totally confused. What was with the sudden change? But since I was feeling guilty, I obediently replied, all right. He didn't say anything else, just led me to the carriage. I sat at a bit of a distance from him. While I was debating whether I should try starting a conversation, the crown prince suddenly spoke. You're much quieter now than when you were little. I blinked. Well, people grow up. You learn to behave better. He paused for a moment, then turned to look out the window without another word. And just like that, in silence, we entered the palace. Usually, when we came, the crown prince would go see the emperor, and I'd go visit the empress. But for some reason, today he came with me to the empress's palace. Now I was even more confused. Was he planning to complain to the empress, so he could divorce me? That thought alone made me lose my balance. I stumbled, and before Chun Yen could steady me, the crown prince had already reached out. You okay? I couldn't help but hiss. He grabbed my arms so tightly it hurt. Did I hurt you? I'm sorry. He quickly loosened his grip but still held on to me, clearly worried. I'm fine, thank you. I tried to shake his hand off subtly, but he wouldn't let go. In the end, I just let him help me into the hall. The empress had just looked up at the sound of our arrival and was about to say something when she saw us walk in almost arm in arm, and was left speechless. Well, this is rare. The crown prince actually came to my palace with the crown princess. Only then did the crown prince let go of me. He was about to greet her when she impatiently waved him off. All right, go find your father. What a coincidence. He just happens to have something for you to do. And just when you finally make it over to me. Yes. He gave me one last glance before turning to leave. That look was hard to read, and I was just about to analyze it when the empress called me over. Wanwan, have you read that popular romance story going around lately? Huh. I followed her gaze to the book on the table. After my death, the crown prince finally fell in love with me. My breath caught. Well, I'm done for. Wanwan. The empress looked at me curiously. It's quite interesting. The male lead's blind, just like the crown prince. I don't get why the heroine even liked him. She said it with such genuine confusion. It was clear she truly meant it. I twitched the corners of my mouth. That's your own son you're talking about. The empress wasn't the least bit formal. She was gentle, open, and a bit of a chatterbox. She held my hand and talked nonstop. I didn't even get a chance to chime in. Your Grace, Imperial Physician Yen has arrived. I was nearly yawning out of boredom when her personal maid came to report. The Empress nodded and let him in, then explained to me. I heard you haven't been sleeping well lately. I had him come take a look at you. Physician Yen is the best in the palace when it comes to treating insomnia. I didn't dare admit my dark circles were from staying up late reading romance stories. The crown princess is generally healthy, Physician Yen said after checking my pulse, but she has excessive liver fire and a deficiency in kidney qi and blood. She should drink more 4-ingredient tonic soup to recover. The Empress nodded. What about her heart? Any underlying conditions? The physician stroked his white beard. No need to worry, Your Grace. Too much stress can take a toll on the body. The heroine in After My Death died of heart failure. Now I understood. The Empress had gotten too invested in the story and thought I was just like the female lead, about to die any day. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Once physician Yen left and the Empress visibly relaxed, I quickly said, "Your Grace, this story is fictional. I'm perfectly healthy. You don't have to worry." The Empress snorted. "You think I can't tell the difference between fiction and reality?" Then her tone softened. "But as long as you're healthy, that's what matters. Don't let the Crown Prince upset you too much. He may be blind, but his heart isn't. One day, he'll realize how he truly feels. Don't worry, I'll help you however I can." Now I was truly lost. No wonder they were mother and son. Both spoke in riddles. The Empress didn't keep me long, and soon let me go. The Crown Prince was still with the Emperor, and I didn't wait for him. I just went straight back. So, I didn't know he had actually come looking for me again. Nor did I know what he and the Empress talked about, only that he returned with a few prescription slips in his hand and red eyes. The medicine Imperial Physician Yen prescribed was so bitter, I wanted to die after one sip. I set the bowl down and began questioning the meaning of life. Meanwhile, the Crown Prince had been acting strange ever since he brought back the prescription. He just sat there silently, eyes red, staring at me. The way he looked at me gave me goosebumps. When he saw I'd stopped drinking the medicine, he finally spoke. "Why aren't you finishing it? A proper noblewoman can't act like a spoiled child just because the medicine is bitter." But something short-circuited in my brain and I muttered, "It's not like it'll actually help." I was still young. A few days of self-discipline would do the trick. Why force myself to drink this awful concoction? I don't know what nerve that touched, but he suddenly stood up and took a deep breath. "Don't say that. Just drink it for me, okay?"
Huh?
I was confused. "Bro, do you even know what you're saying?" The Crown Prince turned his head, avoiding my gaze. Imperial Physician Yen is the most experienced doctor in the palace. He will cure you.
Huh?
Wasn't he just the guy who treated insomnia? When did he become the most senior physician? And why so dramatic? It's just insomnia, not a terminal illness. The way he acted made it seem like I was on my deathbed. I had no energy left to argue, so I resigned myself, picked up the bowl, and downed it in one go. I wanted to die. What was the point of living? As I descended into an existential crisis, I didn't notice the tears welling in the Crown Prince's eyes as he watched me obediently finish the medicine. A nameless seagull once said, "The purpose of life is to hit the docks for some fries." But here, there are no docks, no fries. Not even seagulls. Only pigeons. I was sitting in the courtyard, watching pigeons fly overhead, and suddenly got a craving. But everyone's responsible for protecting wildlife, so instead of catching a pigeon, I had the kitchen send over a few slaughtered chickens. When it comes to grilling, I can say I'm 10 parts skilled and 9, and that last part not at all. So naturally, by the time the chickens were done, they looked like a murder of crows holding a summit. Luckily, one was only slightly burnt. Barely edible, but good enough. I was crouched in the middle of the courtyard, surrounded by a few of my personal maids. I waited for them to finish praising me before picking up the grilled chicken and bringing it to my mouth. Just as I was about to take a bite, the Crown Prince showed up. "Wanwan, what made you think of grilling chicken?" He seemed a bit tipsy and, without a care for appearances, actually crouched down in front of me. I blinked. If I don't grill it now, I won't have time later. It was nearly curfew. I didn't know why, but that seemed to hit a nerve again. Under the hazy lantern light, he suddenly looked heartbroken. His eyes lowered as if he were about to cry. I was stunned. No wonder they say lantern light brings out beauty. Looking at him now, it was like reliving my first crush. "Yeah, not much time left," he muttered, eyes reddening again. "Wanwan, time waits for no one. Fate is cruel." Tears slid down his cheeks and dripped onto the ground. I clutched my chest. Why did it hurt? A two-timing man doesn't deserve sympathy. I shoved the grilled chicken into his hands. "Hold this. I'll get you some hangover soup. And don't sneak a bite." The Crown Prince rarely visited my courtyard, so the moment he crouched down here, my maids all tactfully vanished. Now I had to go find them again. I glanced at him, dazedly holding the chicken, and resisted the urge to kick him while he was drunk. To be honest, I mainly wanted someone to escort him back. It wasn't proper for him to stay here overnight. What if he sobered up tomorrow and accused me of seduction? When I returned with help, he was still squatting there. Zhao Xuanli, what are you eating? He turned his head when he heard me. Half the chicken was already gone. I lunged at him and screamed, "My chicken! You owe me a chicken." That was the only one that turned out right. His face flushed. He stammered, I thought you meant for me to eat it. Did I make you mad again? He asked sadly, looking pitifully at me. I gritted my teeth and waved to the eunuchs. Take him back. Hurry. But Zhao Xuanli shoved them away and grabbed my sleeve tightly. I don't want to be apart from you. Tonight, I want to sleep with you. I looked at the deranged Zhao Xuanli, then at the panicked little eunuchs, and felt my eye twitching. Fine, sleep whatever. His eyes lit up. He dragged me toward the room. I knew you were the best, Wanwan. I sneered. If you wake up tomorrow and twist the story into me seducing you, I swear you're dead. He started crying again, hugging me tightly. Don't say that word anymore. Wanwan's not going to die. His tears soaked the side of my neck. My clothes clung to my skin, sticky and uncomfortable. I stayed silent for a moment. If you dare wipe your snot on me, I'm killing you in your sleep. He didn't hear my rebellious threat. He was sobbing uncontrollably. Wanwan, I've liked you for so long. I know you hate me, but I really like you. Sob. You like me, but you ate my only edible chicken? You like me, but you keep a mistress? He was too drunk to understand anything I was saying, just kept sniffling and rubbing himself on me like a lost puppy. His body was hot from the alcohol. I nearly got drenched in his sweat. Just as I was about to shove him off, Chunyan knocked and entered with hangover soup. Ah, miss, I didn't see anything. She squealed, joy clearly written all over her face, and turned to flee. Wait, come back. Leave the soup. I struggled to push Zhao Xuanli away and got him to sit by the bed. Wanwan, where are you going, Wanwan? I ruffled his hair, casually. Sit still like a good boy. I'm going to get you your soup. He quieted down immediately, dazedly pressing the spot where I'd touched his head. I ignored him and took the soup from Chunyan. Miss, you and His Highness are just like when you were kids again, she said with a smile. I paused. What? Getting nostalgic now? She giggled and left. I stood there, holding the soup, lost in memories. Zhao Xuanli basically grew up with me. My father was his teacher, and sometimes I sat in on his lessons too. He had a ton of classes, and whenever he got too stressed, he'd eat to cope. The Empress didn't really restrict him either, so back then, Zhao Xuanli was actually a chubby kid. A chubby kid who quoted Confucian classics and fought with me over food. People used to whisper behind his back, saying the emperor never officially named him crown prince because he was too fat. Some even said any noble lady who married him would be pitiful. He'd shrink away looking pitiful. I'd scold him for being spineless, then turn around and tell those gossips they were crazy for daring to talk about the royal family like that. He was completely stunned by me back then, eyes all bright and shiny. I ruffled his hair and told him I'd protect him from now on. No surprise, he was a prince raised on money. His hair felt like silk. Later, when I snuck out of the palace for fun, he followed me. He climbed up the wall but got stuck on top, crying for help. His voice was so loud, he ended up alerting the guards. I heard the commotion and ran. By the time I got back, my father was furious. Turns out, Zhao Xuanli had panicked when he saw me running off and fell off the wall. He was still laid up at the imperial clinic. I kneeled all night in the courtyard. The emperor didn't blame me. Zhao Xuanli still attended my father's classes, but I started to resent him. I felt like he didn't know his limits. He couldn't even climb a wall but insisted on trying, dragging everyone into his mess. I yelled at him for days, told him I regretted ever helping him, said just seeing his face annoyed me, and that whoever married him was seriously cursed. Then one imperial decree came, and I was married off to him. By then, he had slimmed down. He was elegant and refined, a complete transformation from the past. Wanwan. I snapped out of my memories. What? At some point, he had gotten out of bed. His hairpin had come loose, and strands of hair fell across his exposed collarbone. Zhao Xuanli's lashes were damp, eyes red. Wan, I can't wait any longer. I can't wait for you to love me. I really like you. I thought we'd have all the time in the world, but why? Why is it like this? Why? I was completely confused. He must be drunk again. I walked over with the hangover soup. Well, I'm here now, aren't I? Can you calm down for a bit? He blinked and nodded obediently. I'll listen to Wan. The soup had gone a bit cold, just right for chugging. I shoved the bowl into his hands. Drink. Zhao Xuanli looked at the bowl, then at me. What about you? I don't have any. That one's for you. He pouted. Then I don't want it. If Wan doesn't drink, I won't either. My temples throbbed. Fine, I already had mine. That one's yours, okay? Drink it and go to sleep. Stop dragging this out. God knows what he misunderstood again. His face turned shy, and he downed the soup in 2 gulps. Then he grabbed me and pulled me into his arms. Wan, let's sleep together. He was strong. I couldn't break free no matter how I struggled. Before I knew it, I was dragged into bed with him. I froze completely, terrified of brushing against anything I shouldn't. We stayed like that for a while. My mind ran through at least 3 adult scenes before I realized Zhao Xuanli, the little shit, had actually fallen asleep. I turned to look at him in disbelief, nearly overwhelmed by his ridiculously good-looking face. Fat kids really do have potential. He turned out stunning. I gently touched his face. He furrowed his brows in his sleep, then leaned his cheek into my palm. He murmured, Wan. I gave him the finger. Too bad, he keeps a mistress. What a waste of that beautiful face. When I woke up in the morning, no one was beside me anymore. After being tightly held by him all night, I felt uncomfortable when I got up. My neck was sore, my waist hurt, and the soft gold hairpin on my head, which I forgot to take off, was now all bent out of shape. I leaned against the wall and painfully sat down by the mirror to start undoing my hair. Chunyan heard the noise and knocked on the door, asking if I wanted breakfast brought in. I found it a little strange. Usually she would be by my bedside as soon as I opened my eyes every day, but this time, she kept her distance. I called her in, and just as I was about to speak, I noticed the excitement on her face. What's got you so happy? I asked. She came over cheerfully and started combing my hair. You finally spent the night with the Crown Prince. Of course, this servant is happy for you. I opened my mouth to say, actually, it's not quite like what you think. You don't know. This morning, when the Crown Prince left, he was rubbing his arm and waist and told me not to disturb you, to let you rest well. Chunyan looked at my bent gold hairpin and smiled slyly. Looks like the Crown Prince cares a lot about Mississippi. As long as you maintain a good relationship with him, what's the use of a concubine? I shut my mouth, deciding not to shatter her illusions. After she finished fixing my hair, breakfast was brought in. I looked at the full table of food, surprised. Does the mansion have so much money they don't know where to spend it? Chunyan shook her head. No, it's because the Empress heard the Crown Prince was rubbing his waist this morning, so she immediately sent all these over. There are even more rewards on the way. Did they send it to the wrong place? Why is the Crown Prince patching me up? I rubbed my head. Where is the Crown Prince? The Crown Prince's wife was actually pretty free. When I woke up every day, it was usually around the time he finished court. Though we barely saw each other, I at least needed to know his whereabouts. The Crown Prince just sent someone to say he doesn't know when he'll be back. If you need anything, send someone to the palace to find him. Lately, the Crown Prince seemed very busy. I didn't know what exactly he was busy with, but there was no need for him to report to me. We weren't close, except for last night, an exception. Our marriage was forced by an imperial edict. He wanted my father's influence in court. My father wanted to gain favor by supporting the dragon. He didn't have to put on a show for me. We were connected by mutual benefit. No matter how estranged, we were grasshoppers tied to the same string. I didn't dare write letters anymore, and now even more bored, I took a nap during the day. That night, I was completely unable to sleep. While wandering in the courtyard, I happened to meet the crown prince. He was surprised to see me, then quickly walked over. Why are you still awake so late? Wearing so little. Aren't you cold? He said this as he took off his cloak and draped it over me. It was a bit chilly at night, but I had eaten a lot of good food today and felt hot enough to burn. Still, I didn't refuse his cloak. It smelled of incense I recognized, not like his usual scent but more like what was used in my room. Seeing me sniff his clothes, Zhao Xuanli blushed slightly. The autumn hunt is in a couple of days. Come with me. I nodded and asked curiously, why did you suddenly remember to take me to the autumn hunt? His eyes were gentle. You like grilled food, so I won't let you have regrets. That was true. The autumn hunt always ended with several rounds of open-air barbecue. But why did he say it as if I were dying? He reached out and gently tucked his stray hair behind my ear. Tonight, can I come to your room? The dignified crown prince spoke with a tone of pleading. I slapped his hand away sharply. Didn't he know every strand of hair on a girl's head was carefully arranged? Don't mess with it. Without saying a word, I turned and walked into the room. Zhao Xuanli stood there forlornly, as if he was about to cry any moment. Why are you just standing there? Come in already. I didn't even look back. He immediately perked up and hurried to my side. The red silk curtain was warm, but Zhao Xuanli didn't do anything else. He just held me and slept by my side all night. So he really just wanted to sleep in my room. He stayed with me for 2 nights in a row. Not only was Chunyan excited, but the Empress was also very pleased. More rewards came, and she specially told me to take good care of my health and not to bother her. Maybe in her eyes, we had already made up and were planning to give her a royal grandson. Our discord reached the Empress on the 2nd day after the wedding. On the wedding day, he drank with guests outside while I sat on the uncomfortable wedding bed, starving after a whole day. I finally couldn't stand it and started eating a jujube from the bed. Chunyan felt terrible and secretly gave me pastries and tea. The phoenix crown was so heavy it made my neck ache. I couldn't lift my head, so the tea spilled all over me. My bright red wedding dress was covered in tea leaves. Chunyan tried to wipe them off with a handkerchief, but it was too late. Zhao Xuanli was already at the door. She hurriedly helped me cover my face with the bridal veil and stepped aside. Under the veil, I could only see his feet. He stood in front of me for a while, then reached out. My mind went blank. Not wanting him to see the tea stains on my collar, I instinctively tried to move back. By the time I realized, Zhao Xuanli had already stepped back. You've been tired all day, I won't disturb you. I'll sleep in the study. Before I could say anything, he had left the room, staggering slightly. The next day, the Empress knew everything. Since the crown prince went in and then left, she made him kneel for a long time before letting him go. I felt he must have hated me. Afterwards, he wouldn't meet my eyes, and I pretended not to see him either. Whenever we bumped into each other, I secretly cursed him for bad luck. Not like now, I was already eating breakfast while he was still hanging around, not leaving. Wan, you said you want to go south to Jiangnan and also to the north to raise horses. Eating the medicinal meal from the palace, Zhao Xuanli suddenly looked sad. I thought for a moment, yes, I had said those things as a child because I didn't want to memorize books or learn boring housekeeper rules and rigid etiquette. But as my father's daughter, I couldn't really run away. Now that he brought it up, I hesitated for a moment. I don't have those thoughts anymore. After all, being crown princess was a pretty easy job with not too many rules, so I chose to just take it easy. I thought he wanted to leave, so I said, if you go, remember to bring me back some local specialties. I wasn't picky about food, fun, or clothes. I was thinking when Zhao Xuanli suddenly stood up. I looked up in surprise and saw his eyes were red again. I just remembered I have something to do. I'll go first. He said this with a little catch in his voice, then hurriedly left. I scratched my head, puzzled. Seriously? Getting him to bring back some specialties made him this upset? I really don't understand your royal dignity. The day of the autumn hunt arrived quickly. I got into the carriage heading to the hunting grounds, but when we arrived, there was an unfamiliar face beside me. She was dressed like a delicate young lady, petite and pretty, Even standing behind people, she still drew attention. Zhao Xuanli pulled her close and said, "Her name is Hong Zhao. She's skilled with her hands, and she'll be attending to you these next few days." Hong Zhao looked at me with a mix of curiosity and appraisal. "Your Highness, the Crown Princess." Finally, it couldn't be hidden anymore. Was she going to be brought into the residence as a concubine? A chill ran through me. I'd nearly forgotten she even existed. I had almost believed Zhao Xuanli's words that he cared for me. Wan. Zhao Xuanli looked worried and tried to reach out to help me. "I'm fine," I said coldly, stepping away. "I'll take Hong Zhao to the tent. Prince, you go handle your own affairs." I dodged his hand and spoke with clear distance. He looked confused by my sudden change in attitude and seemed about to ask why, but he did have things to attend to. He only left after saying we'd talk when he returned. "Your Highness." Hong Zhao tilted her head and then grabbed my wrist. "May I help you to your quarters?" Whether intentional or not, the pressure of her fingers on my pulse was firm, making me uncomfortable. I pulled my wrist away. "No, I can walk myself." My tone was a bit sharp. I took a deep breath. I couldn't take my temper out on her. After all, facing the prince, she had no choice but to comply, even if she didn't want to become a concubine. "You're not here to be a maid, so don't waste your efforts trying to please anyone." Hong Zhao withdrew her hand and looked at me thoughtfully. I ignored her gaze and turned around. "Let's go." She followed quietly. If it weren't for the swish of her clothes beside me, I might have forgotten she was there. We arrived a day early. No one else had come yet. Something felt off, though I couldn't put my finger on what. After arranging her room and having the maids tidy up the place, I turned around and noticed Zhao Xuanli had come back, without me realizing. He was looking at Hong Zhao, and the two of them exchanged glances that seemed to create a private space no one else could enter. I closed my eyes for a moment, unsure if I should step aside to give them space or just break up the pair outright. Zhao Xuanli suddenly turned his head, saw me, and brightened as he moved toward me, only to have Hong Zhao tug on his sleeve. She glanced at me, then back at Zhao Xuanli, frowning. Wan, I need to discuss something with Hong Zhao. Please wait here. I'll come find you soon." I silently watched them walk away together. I honestly doubted if this was still the same Zhao Xuanli from a few days ago. How could he throw himself onto me one moment, then toss me aside the next? The hunting grounds were enclosed and thoroughly inspected several times, with guards patrolling everywhere, so I wasn't worried about safety. Ignoring Zhao Xuanli's orders, I took Chun Yan and went out to walk around and clear my head. But just as we reached the edge of the woods, I suddenly felt a sharp pain in the back of my neck, and everything went black as I collapsed to the ground. From now on, if anyone says the autumn hunting grounds are safe, I'll argue with them. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself kidnapped, standing at the edge of a cliff. Next to me was a man in black, holding Hong Zhao. She saw I was awake, sighed with relief, and smiled at me. "I really don't understand how you concubines think being kidnapped is that supposed to be a good thing?" Suddenly, a knife pressed hard against my neck. Zhao Xuanli had arrived. "Let go of the crown princess." Zhao Xuanli's face was stern, and the archers beside him had already knocked their arrows. The men in black hid behind me, their voices hoarse with laughter. "Prince, choose. The crown princess or the concubine?" Zhao Xuanli snorted coldly. "Do you think I'd release her if I chose?" Impossible. Zhao Xuanli wasn't a fool. In situations like this, whoever you pick probably ends up dead. I silently scoffed. "Of course not, you're not a fool. You know exactly what we really want." "Me? I'll have to report you for plagiarism." Zhao Xuanli shook his head. "The eldest prince has already been sent to the clan office. What you want, I cannot give you." The man in black's voice immediately turned cold. "Then, Prince, you might as well watch them die." My life was over. Just as I was about to close my eyes, I caught out of the corner of my eye Hong Zhao suddenly springing up. She kicked the man holding me, sending him plummeting off the cliff, then quickly grabbed a knife from another man behind me who hadn't reacted yet. Wow, so cool. She pulled me by the arm into her embrace and then raised her leg again to fiercely kick the other man down. Several men in black standing in front were also shot dead. Zhao Xuanli hurried over, pulling me out of Hong Zhao's arms and checking me up and down. Wanwan, are you alright? Are you hurt anywhere? Does it hurt? I pushed him away coldly, clutching my chest as I collapsed back into Hong Zhao's arms. My legs are weak. Can you carry me back? Hong Zhao. She silently lifted me in a bridal carry and headed toward the tent. Zhao Xuanli was left standing there, looking utterly confused. Chunyan wasn't badly hurt. She was shocked when she saw Hong Zhao carrying me and quietly stepped back to give us space. I don't know why the prince thinks your days are numbered, but I just checked your pulse. You don't have any hidden illness. But the prince doesn't believe me and insists it's because my medical skills are poor, Hong Zhao said helplessly. Maybe only if you tell him yourself will he believe it.
I was surprised.
You checked my pulse just now.
How do you know so much?
You're amazing. Hong Zhao blinked. Yes, I'm the prince's secret guard, so naturally I know everything. Aren't you a concubine? No. This is just to confuse the eldest prince's faction, to give you a shield. I held her hand and touched it gently. You've really worked hard. Maybe Hong Zhao hadn't experienced this before and didn't know whether to pull away. It's what a secret guard is supposed to do. I wanted to say more, but Zhao Xuanli rushed in. Hong Zhao, step back. Hong Zhao stood up quickly and disappeared without a trace. I opened my mouth in surprise. Trying to learn. Zhao Xuanli held my chin and looked at me. Wan. He seemed on the verge of tears, about to say something, but I covered his mouth and took the initiative. Why do you think my days are numbered? Surely you don't believe it's because of the script I wrote. Zhao Xuanli's eyelashes trembled. But the script was very truthful, and you wrote it yourself. I really thought you were dying. Mother also told me to treat you well, or else there'd be nowhere to regret it later. I suddenly remembered that the Empress said she would help me, so this is how she's helping. It's not true. I'm fine. Just a little insomnia. Don't worry. I gently stroked his head. He immediately grabbed my hand and rubbed his face against my palm like a dog. That's good. That's good. He buried his face in my palm, and I felt moisture wetting my hand. I'm really scared, Wan, he sobbed. I know you hate me. Hated me as a child, hate me now as an adult, but I really can't bear to see you marry my brother. I begged the emperor to arrange the marriage. That day I was so happy, but you wouldn't let me lift your veil. Sniff, sniff. I was afraid you'd scold me, afraid you'd despise me. Every day, I only dared to watch you secretly, pretending to run into you by chance. But you said I was bad luck. I knew I was wrong. I shouldn't have forced you to stay. I knew you liked Jiangnan, knew you liked the desert. But I trapped you in the capital city. You hated me, and you should. I originally thought maybe if I waited a little longer, what if one day you suddenly fell in love with me? But all I got was the news that you were close to dying. When I saw you take the medicine, I had already given up on competing with my brother. I lost to him. I told him to kill me, so I could go with you. Zhao Xuanli kissed my palm carefully. Seeing I didn't react, he continued. Later Hong Zhao said if I really lost, you'd look down on me. She also said they in the southern border were best at treating incurable diseases, so I arranged for her to see you. But I never expected those remnants to attack now. Wan, luckily you're alright. I didn't know what to say. I wanted to tell him I didn't hate him. I calmed down quickly. When I was little, he never came to find me first, and I couldn't bring myself to apologize. I wanted to explain the wedding day, wanted to say I thought he hated me, and that his harsh words were just in anger. In the end, I said nothing. I just cupped his face and kissed him. The next day's autumn hunt went smoothly. The Empress smiled happily when she saw us walking hand in hand. I originally thought you two would hold hands like this on the second day of your wedding, considering how close you were as children. Of course. It's never too late to make up now. The end.